So we're going to switch gears a little bit and dive into the White House and the economy, other big headlines today. So for that, let's bring in CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. Hey there, Ed. Good to be with you. Thanks for being here. So we understand that the president just gave an interview to the Associated Press that came out this afternoon. What did we learn about this? I mean, I assume that talk number one was really the economy.
Yep, it was. And Caitlin, it's rare for the president to give a sit-down interview to a news wire or a newspaper, what we would traditionally call a newspaper. Rare that he give an interview to any news organization these days, but he did it this afternoon with the Associated Press, the world's largest news wire. It was primarily about the economy. And he says in part that the American people are, quote, really, really down, unquote, after a tumultuous 2 years with the pandemic, the volatile economy, and now surging gas prices. He was pressed on whether he thinks a recession is inevitable, and he dismissed that, saying absolutely not. But he's also doing something now that I think we're going to hear the White House do a lot more and say, yes, we're dealing with inflation, but it's, quote, global inflation. This is a worldwide phenomena, and that it's far worse in other parts of the world, Canada, Asia, Europe, not in the United States, where, in the view of the president and the Federal Reserve, the underlying economy is in good shape. There's still growth. There's still low unemployment. There are jobs out there if people need them. He's arguing we're dealing with inflation, or the central bank is certainly pushing us in the direction to help end it, but it's a lot worse if you live somewhere else. That is something we've seen sort of creep into the language of aides, and now we're seeing it in a conversation the president had with the AP.
And Ed, we were talking about this earlier this week because there is, little that the president can actually do when it comes to some of these issues. But yet they, have to, of course, demonstrate that they're working on it. We do know that he met, however, with Speaker Pelosi and Senate Majority Chuck Schumer last night. Do we know about what happened at that meeting, and if there's anything that they can, point to say that they're working on this?
As someone reminded me, look, these are the three people who run this town. So it's perfectly normal and acceptable and expected that they would get together every so often to talk about the agenda, given that for now, at least, the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they've got to worry about issue number one, the economy. So yes, there were some conversations broadly about what other economic legislation or budgetary legislation may be out there to deal with inflation, with sustaining the economic growth, and dealing with some other dollars and cents issues like healthcare affordability and whatnot. One of the big issues that they're trying to sort out is there still an opportunity to use what we talked about on this show plenty, that expression reconciliation, not the Catholic sacrament, but the budget authority that a majority party has, especially in the Senate, to move a piece of spending legislation with a simple majority vote and try to get some partisan priorities achieved. There are ongoing conversations among Democrats about how to do that, what to do exactly, and how to deliver something before the August recess or the fall when people start voting that demonstrates Democrats are doing something to deal with inflation and economic growth overall.
And on that note, I think you could argue that another person that runs this town is Joe Manchin. He seems to be poised once again to be the linchpin to anything Democrats want to do. You talk about reconciliation. How is leadership kind of trying to bring him on board for some of this?
By not talking much about it in public, but we do know that they are continuing to try to come up with something that not only would be acceptable to Joe Manchin, but to other moderate Democrats who, of course, were involved in the negotiations we spent so much time covering in the past year or so. Kirsten Sinema, a handful of moderates that are on the ballot in Senate races this fall, like Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire, or Mark Kelly in Arizona, or Catherine Cortez Masto and Raphael Warnock in Nevada and Georgia. Finding something that speaks to the election year concerns, that achieves some partisan priorities in terms of climate change, in terms of other domestic spending programs, and then potentially also health care and some concerns there about premium costs and prescription drugs and other issues that they've been trying to sort out. We should point out that absent the economic work, there have been some modest successes in recent days in terms of getting legislation passed that speaks to the moment. There's a burn pits legislation bill that's on its way to the White House eventually once the House passes it. There's going to be, there was a legislation regarding Supreme Court security ahead of the abortion fight. There are other pieces of bipartisan legislation working their way through. They're struggling, of course, on the issue of guns. There were some breakup on that today. But underlying all of that, or in the midst of all that, Democrats still trying to find a way to negotiate over some dollars and cents legislation and see if they can get something done before November.
And something to bring back to their constituents as they ask for their vote, indeed.
Exactly.
Ed O'Keefe from the White House, thank you so much.
Take care.